What, though, got emphasized in making that move is a de-emphasis on what's people like Balkan want to call concrete intentions, right? The goal of really thinking about what are the applications people have in mind and how authoritative are those applications in the future. And I think there has been a general move away from that, and that's probably for the best. I think the other kind of significant departure between two other distinctions between old and new originalism that are probably notable. One is between sort of an attachment of originalism to ideas of judicial restraint, which I think have now largely been abandoned out of newer, more recent versions of originalism. And I think a greater appreciation for indeterminacy in constitutional meaning from originalist perspective and what you do with that, which I think tended to get backgrounded in older theories of originalism. I think is more in the foreground of more recent theories.
So, Michael Paulson, that two very closely related questions. One is that you say that that oftentimes we're going to find a range of meaning rather than a meaning, and that your solution to the range of meaning problem is not that the interpreter should not try to identify the best, but rather should accept the range and decide cases within that range by other methods. That might be subsequent history, it might be precedent, it might be, but in the end, if there's not some conclusive answer, we go with what the legislature said. Now that, I think, reconnects, that reconnects originalism with judicial restraint, not as a kind of fundamental and epistemological or interpretive principle, but rather as a step in adjudication. I wonder if you would accept that, but also, what do we do if it turns out that there are very significant ranges of meaning, not of course for most questions, but for most questions that are actually in contention. So that, I mean, we don't get to the Supreme Court on things that are obvious. We get to the Supreme Court on things that are in contention. And if it turns out that range of meaning is the characteristic answer, doesn't that effectively read the originalism piece out of your interpretive method, leaving us mostly with judicial restraint?
You have so many questions, Michael.
Actually, it was all one question.
It's all one question.
There's subparts to the question.
I think what you said is a fairly good paraphrase of my position. Let me quibble with a couple points. It's not judicial restraint driven. It's more like once you've applied what you think is a correct